What's up? This is Will Moss. We're about to do a video. Let me turn this TV on. So, one of my subscribers asked me how I got into real estate. So, I asked my daughter to videotape me while I talk about how I got into real estate. So, basically, the way I started to get into real estate is I bought my first home. That's the initial investment, and that's something I recommend that everybody do initially, is buy a house as soon as you can to live in it, because your house can turn into an investment that you can leverage later on. So about in 1999 is when I bought my first house for my family, and about 7 years later, I bought a condo. I was thinking about getting an apartment, but I thought the smart thing to do would be to get a condo. So, got a condo because instead of giving somebody rent for an apartment, I figured I can use the condo, pay for it, and eventually one day it'll be paid off, and then it'll be another real estate investment. So that was 2 properties in about 7 years. So, check out the window. So this is one of the things that motivated me to start looking at real estate. I love cars, love vehicles. I don't like paying a high heating bill, so let me close my door. But so I always had an ambition to do things that would basically earn income for me later on, where I could do something like get my dream car, which is a Lamborghini. But the other thing, let me back up a little bit, is I actually own and started my own business. I have a degree in computer science. I'm a programmer, software engineer. So I started a website, sort of like Facebook, for historically black colleges and universities called hbcuconnect.com. It's a good site, check it out. But I started that in '99, and at the same time I was working as a software engineer for AT&T, and I actually quit my job in 2004 and started running my business, which was my dream. I started running that in 2004, and we slowly started, you know, anywhere from, I think the first year we started making money was 2002. I maybe only made a few $1,000s in the year, but then the next year I made a few $1,000s more, and then the next year I made a few $1,000s more, and then finally I was like, you know what, if I quit and focus on my part-time job or my business full-time, then maybe I can make it really turn into some money where there's limitless potential. So, and it was what I wanted to do, is what I was passionate about. So I started a business, and how this relates to the real estate is, when my business started doing good and I had enough money to reinvest into my business, as well as enough money to save, and I started saving money in banks. And then I realized the return that you get from like a savings account in a bank is almost nothing. So instead, I started looking at ways to invest the money. And at the same time, the real estate market took a dive. We're in Columbus, Ohio. We have a really rock solid economy, but the real estate all over the country just took a dive. And so the condo that I bought, I actually wanted to sell it and get into a house. So we checked out this neighborhood, me and my kids, fell in love with this neighborhood, but the houses were way more expensive than what I was used to. Like, my first house cost $160,000, my condo cost $140,000, but my business was doing good, and I was like, you know, a house is an investment, you know, and the market is down. So maybe if I get my dream house now while the market is down, it'll be cheaper, and eventually the real estate market's gonna go back up, and then it'll be a great investment. But I was thinking I needed to sell my condo, but I was going to lose so much money, because when I went to sell my condo, instead of being $140,000 or better, they said it was only worth $90,000. I was like, no way! I know this condo is worth more than $90,000. I spent $140,000 for it. So, so instead of selling the condo, I looked at this house over here. Shout out to my neighbor Sandeep, who bought the house from me. But I actually was set. We built this house. The house was like $400,000, and it was a lot of money. But I knew eventually that house would be worth $500,000 or $600,000. So I said, I'm not going to lose any money if I get into this house while the market is down. So instead of, so then I had the dilemma with selling my condo. So I started looking. I said, you know, I know my condo is worth more than $90,000. So instead of selling it, I started looking at the neighbors' houses. I started looking at the other condos in that community, and people were leaving. You know, people were giving up. They're getting their houses, giving them away back to the bank. And instead of selling at that point in time, I said the smartest thing for me to do is take that money that I saved up in the bank and start buying real estate. So I not only moved into this house over here, and eventually we built the house that we live in now, which is, this house was a little bit too big for what I needed. So it was just me and my kids, and I just got 2 kids. So I said, I'll build a perfect size house, and that's where I'll stay at, you know, forever after. So we actually built the house next door, which is the house we just walked out of. And the market, when the market came back, we sold that house over there. But anyway, the timing was right. So I bought houses that I used. The other thing I did is I used to lease my my office space. And I said, you know what? The market's down. I'm going to buy my office space. So I had my first house, my second house, which was a condo. These are all properties that I was using. Then I bought this house next door. I sold it, but I kept my condo and I rented it out for a profit. And then my eyes opened up. So you know what? I can buy these houses for cheap prices and then rent them out, make a profit on them, and then it'll just be another business. And that I'll just invest into real estate. That's how I got started. Another, you know, thing that I'm into, like I said, is a vehicle. So in order to be able to afford like a nice house, nice cars and stuff like that, the only how you can justify it is you should have a good amount of money saved up or invested before you start looking at buying toys and spending money on things like that that will depreciate. You should always have some money invested. So once we start investing in real estate, I always keep a car for business. I keep a car. We live in Ohio, so you got to have a car for the weather. But they're fun cars and stuff that I like. But these are some of the things that kind of motivate me, because the things that I like, you need money for. So I started investing in real estate. That's how I got started. I've been in it since I bought my first house, which was a great investment, 1999. We still own that house. But since investing, you know, I bought my office space. I bought this house, you know, I bought the house that I currently live in. And then I just started buying up property while the real estate market was down. I just started buying up property in the zip code I was familiar with. And then I got some connections with some banks, and I learned that all I needed was 20% down to buy an investment property, and the bank would give me the rest. And I bought about, from 2010 to 2000 to now, we've bought at least 30 properties. We flipped about 10 of them, and we held, we flipped about 10 houses at this point, and I still have about 23 properties still. And basically, you buy a house for a good amount, buy low and you sell high. Or you buy low, fix it up nice, and then rent it for a premium. At the same time, you can give people a good deal on rent if you know what you're doing. So that's how I got into real estate. You know, my motivation is not only the things that I like, but taking care of my family. So, you know, I came from a humble beginning. My parents didn't have a whole lot of money. There's things that we needed or wanted that sometimes we couldn't get. And I kind of made a deal with myself that would never be the case for myself and my kids. So got serious about the investing. And so if you think that you want to get into real estate, I highly recommend it. I highly invested too. But that's it. You know, that's how I got into real estate. I can get into some more details later, but it's kind of cold outside. So let's holla.